Let's continue with our Presso. Okay, so this, since it's being a SaaS platform, we don't need to maintain any kind of agents or any kind of monitoring we have to do from our side. So we have from our side, it's a zero maintenance cost. Yeah. And earlier in 2018, Azure DevOps was called Visual Studio Team Services, and they renamed to Microsoft has renamed it to Azure DevOps, just for easy calling the product and all. So yeah, let's go into the to the next one. Okay, components of Azure DevOps. So as I said, like there are multiple components within Azure DevOps. So the first one, that is Azure Boards. So this particular service is basically used for project management and tracking. So if you have used one of Atlassian product like Jira, it is quite similar to that. So you can have sprints, backlogs, features. You have the same kind of feeling as Jira. Okay, and Azure Repos, it is the source code repository. And it would be like similar to GitHub, Bitbucket and all. So you can host your source code in Azure Repos. And Azure Pipelines, so this is the service that we use for the CI/CD orchestration. Here we can design the workflow in YAML and execute the workflow using the agents. Okay. So I'll show the demo in the later stage. Okay, and Azure Test Plans. So this is a browser-based test management solution where you can upload your test plans and test cases, and you can see the test results as well. So this is closely integrated with Azure Pipelines. So you can integrate together, and you can have a eagle's eye view from one point in this through this particular service. And the last one, Azure Artifacts. So this service hosts the third-party libraries used by used by your projects, such as npm modules, NuGet packages, Python libraries, or cargos. So yeah, so that's like if you want to reuse a particular libraries for different projects, you can host your libraries inside Azure Artifact. So multiple projects can reuse it and tap on it as well. Okay, so that's about Azure DevOps components, right? Okay, let's go into the portal before we go into detail. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So I'll just sign out from here. Okay. Okay. So when you go into dev.azure.com, oh, okay, let's sign in. Yeah, sign up. All right. Okay. So you can access Azure DevOps by going into dev.azure.com. So this is a landing page. So you can see here, you have to create a login before you start using Azure DevOps. Okay, so you can, if you have a GitHub account, you can use that as well. Or if you have an explicit account with Microsoft, if you have integrated your Gmail or Yahoo with Microsoft, you can use that as well. So I'll just go inside that by signing in. All right. So okay, I have this session, so that's why it's automatically logged in. Okay, let's create. Okay, this is the home page for Azure DevOps. So when you create an organization, it will be displayed here. Okay, so just like GitHub and all, you will have an ID, right? So similar to that, they call it organization. So this is your organization. This is nothing but your, you know, the email ID with dot removed. Okay, so what you see here is all are like projects. Okay, so I'll just create a project for the demo purpose. So you just go here and click on new project, and here you can give a name like this, something like that. And you have the visibility here. So whether you want to make that project public, you can select this, or if you want to make it like private, which is like you would be only authorized to see. So you can select private, public, anything. So just select for demo purpose and selecting the public. Okay, so in version control, you get two options. One is the industry standard version control engine, that is Git, and there is proprietary version control by Microsoft, that is called Team Foundation version control. So you can select any of these version control depending upon your project requirements. And the work item process is nothing but what kind of methodology you are following for your project, either it's Scrum or Agile or just the CMMI, you know, all those. So I just use Agile for the time being. So this is actually required when you are using Azure Boards for your project management. All right, so just create here. All right. And by the way, this is free. I mean, the creating a login and using, it's all free. Yeah. Okay. And yeah, this is the landing page for the project test demo. And you can see on the side part, you can see a few sections. And first is the overview. So when you start using it, you can see the stats of your projects, like how many members are there in the project. So all those things you can see in the landing page, and you can create custom dashboard as well. Like there are the multiple dashboards available. Like if you want to see how many releases has been deployed and what is the work status of this particular item, you can create custom dashboard here as well. Okay, so even you can create wikis, like small wiki you can publish here as well. Okay, and analytic view is basically like the usage and everything it gets displayed. But see if you traverse through this, you can see the project, like how many bugs are there. So all these like a shared view will be available once you start using the project. And coming into the Azure Boards, as I mentioned, this is for basically for the project management activity. You can create backlogs and all sort of things like user stories. Then you create the backlog, then sprint backlog, tasks, items, everything you can create here. So if you have used Jira, then you would have the same, you know, feeling on this. Okay. So these are like sub options. Each has its own view. I think you can create Kanban board and all if you are into that. So this is, you can see all the active items, new item results and all. So feel free to explore this one. And going into the repos, this is the place where we host our source code. And for demo purpose, we will just initialize a dummy project. So just create like it shows you like whether you want to clone or whether we want to push the existing repo to Azure repos, and they can be done. So just for demo, I just initialize a dummy repository. So by default, it takes the project name as the repository name, and you can start cloning it and do, initiate the development as well. Okay, and you can get the Git credential depending upon your user ID. You can generate it for you as well, right? So yeah, you can create branches or from the UI side, or even from the command that you can create it. So everything is available in the UI. So Microsoft is very UI centric people. So so they have given options to create the branches from the front end and do the pull request, review, everything can be done here itself, right? Then going into the pipelines, so which is the main CI/CD orchestration thing. So here we design the workflow for continuous integration as well as continuous deployment or delivery. Okay, and you just need to, you can either import the existing pipeline or you can create fresh from start. So you just click here, create pipeline, and yeah, this particular screen tells you to from where I can pull the source code. So there are a few ready-made options here, like if you're using Azure Reports as Git or Bitbucket Cloud as your repository, or GitHub, or any other Git like GitLab, you can actually integrate with this as well, or locally hosted Git repositories due to like security reasons, you don't want to put into any cloud. So in those kind of scenario, you can use. So I'll just use Azure Repos Git. Okay. Okay. Before that, there are two ways to design the workflows. Okay. One is using the YAML format, which is like you can write the workflow in the YAML syntax, and other is classic editor. Okay, I'll show you the classic editor first because it's UI centric. So it does tell you from which source I have to pull the source code. So you have GitHub Enterprise version. Okay, we'll just use the Azure Repos Git for the time being. Continue. Okay, so they will allow you to select different templates depending upon the type of application that you are being developed. Like if it is .NET, you can use the .NET template, or if it is Python, you can use the Python style. So there are ready-made templates available, and if you want to have a custom one, like you don't want like empty one, you can use the empty pipeline. Okay, and I will just use like ASP.NET or ASP.NET. So here it is like very UI centric. You can see what all tasks are there in the workflow, and let's go through each of these components. So the first one, the pipeline. Here you can give the name for the pipeline, and there are a few agent pools. So basically there are two types of agent pools. One is a Microsoft hosted one, that is like Microsoft, the agents that is pulled from Microsoft pools, like VM pools, and we have a limit of 30 hours build time per month for that if you're using Microsoft hosted agent pools. And other is self-hosted. So self-hosted is you can install the agents on your VMs or on your local machines and use that to build the application. So yeah, this, if you see, I have few agents here but none of, I just deleted the agent, so you don't see any kind of agents here. So we'll use the Microsoft hosted ones, right? I'll show you how to add an agent later on. Okay. And agent specification is what kind of machine you need, whether you want Mac OS or Ubuntu or the Windows one. So you can use any of these. And one of the disadvantage of using Microsoft hosted one is it depends upon the availability of these agents. You can utilize it. Sometimes in peak times, if everybody is using, then you will be in the queue to get an agent to build it and for building and deploying the things. And yeah, that's about agents. I mean, for the agent side. And for enterprise one, we normally use self-hosted. One reason is due to the security reason. So we are not supposed to connect from outside, and due to firewalls and all, we tend to use the self-hosted ones. Okay, so that's about agents. Okay, and the parameters is it's asking about the path of the solution. So since it's like ASP.NET, it will have a .sln file, which is like a solution file. So we are using a wildcard here, and it can find the whatever solution that exists in that particular repository, like star.sln. And the artifact name, okay. So artifact is nothing but when you build the application, the binaries would be generated, okay, and this binary has to be stored in one location, okay. So we call it like artifact repository, so that this package, the built binaries, can be used to deploy into the servers. So this is the name field for that, like what would be the artifact name we need to keep. So we can specify that one here. And yeah, that's about the first section. And if we go to the get sources section, you would see the repository linkages and all. So what is the repository name? What is the branch you want to build? If you have multiple branches, you can select that. Okay, and it is also available when you are building the application. You can select the branches as well, like dynamically selecting as well. And the clean is okay. So when you build an application, it creates a workspace. Okay, so when you run multiple times, sometimes this workspace won't be cleaned. Okay, so like it will rm -rf, I mean rf, it will delete everything and try again. So if you want to do like clean and build, you can select this option, right? So I just put false because I'm using a Microsoft hosted agent. So every time I will get a new VM every time. So it doesn't matter whether you clean it or not. It's very dynamically provisioned, case to case basis one. And these are like something related to let's say tagging and all. So I don't go into the details due to the time constraint, because there are a lot of stuff that need to be explained on this part when you go into the enterprise scale. Okay, so let's go to the agent. So here you can see a few options, like it will inherit the pipeline, so you just use the same one from the pipeline. You can have multiple jobs within a pipeline, so you can create here, you can create 2 jobs here, like something like this. So if you want to build in 2 different environments, you can have multiple jobs. So this will enable you to do that, like parallelism. Like if you want to do a parallel build in multiple environments, you have to separate it with different jobs. Okay, And there are few options for parallelism, like if you can use multi-agent if you're using self-hosted agents, and the agents are free, you can select this one to multi-agent to speed up the building process and all. That's more like efficiency. If you if the project is so big and if it takes much time to build, then you can select all these options. And also you can add dependencies on the job, like if the job 2 depends on job 1, you can select all these. If you have like multiple jobs inside this pipeline, this option would be enabled. And yeah. And these are the tasks for building a .NET application. So this is a NuGet installer task, and you have a lot of tasks available. So when you click this plus sign, you would see the different tasks for each kind of way, for various, like you can have bash shell, you can have Windows command line, and there are a few Kubernetes tasks as well. I think Docker, like here. You can have Docker build as well. So it depends on your type of application, whether you want to, yeah, it just suit your needs, right? And okay, let's move into this. Okay, this is for NuGet package restoration and all. So just come and just use this. I mean, if you are familiar with .NET, then you'll understand why NuGet restore is here. And this is the build task. So this task will build the application and generate the binaries. Okay, after it's generated, it gets generated, then it do a testing of the build binaries, and it would publish the results in the pipeline section after this. And publish, this is for performance testing. They will create the PDB files, and usually tester do that. If you are testing the performance, this PDB files is required. So this is all comes in the template. It is provided by the Microsoft, right? And the last is after the build is complete, it has to publish the build binaries, that is like DLL, jar files, or exes, any kind. So it will publish to the artifact location. So one of the advantage of Azure DevOps is it has its own artifact location. So all the artifacts stored in Microsoft Cloud. Okay, so we don't need to provision any kind of external artifactory like JFrog and all for storing the artifacts. So once the artifacts is uploaded, the pipeline completes. This is the CI process. Okay. All right. Yeah. So yeah, Bapu raised hand. Yes, Bapu.
Can you share like where we can set up auto tracer for build pipeline?
All right. Okay. Okay. Sure. Okay. So, oops. Okay. Let me show you that. Oopsie. Classic editor. Let's select this. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So if you are like using credentials and all, you can add variables here. Like if you some paths or some tokens, you can add credentials. Like if I use AWS secret key, you can actually store it here. So that is also maintained. All right. Let me say this. Okay. So if you want to parameterize any kind of values, you can put it here in the variable section. right? That,
These are the very environment variables, you mean, right?
yes, environment variables, correct. And you can create a group as well. Yeah, I mean,
So easy to attach, create a group, and then you can directly attach group, is it?
yes, actually, you can create it. Okay, so you see here in the pipeline section, there is a library subsection, and
Mm-hmm.
here you can create the variable group. Similar like, the token and all, you can create that one here, and I'll just save this. And okay, once it is created in a group, then you can link it here. So all those variables would be imported and available for this pipeline. So normally the groups are categorized based on the environment that you're running the pipeline. Like if you're running for dev, you will have one variable group, and if you're running for staging, you will have another variable group. So for the segregation of the things, you need to maintain a separate group based on the environment. So or you can, for like demo purpose, you can add here as well. So from an enterprise point, you have to create separate groups for each environment itself. Okay, and Bapu was talking about the trigger, right? And when you go to the trigger section, you will see an option called continuous integration, and you just need to enable this
Mm-hmm.
checkbox to have the auto build whenever a developer checking the code to repos, then the build would trigger. So this option has to be selected, okay, to enable the CI.
You
And
can
this,
select branch as well. Correct.
yes, exactly. You can include multiple one as well.
Like
We have
multiple
multiple.
parallel trigger on the
Yep,
multiple branches.
yep, correct. So this is the place where you select the CI, enable the CI, and you can schedule it as well. You have the schedule from Monday to Sunday, and yeah, you can select the timing as well, what time it needs to be enabled and all. So a small scheduler, and you have options to trigger another build after this particular pipeline completes. So you have an
So
option for
post
that.
build, right?
Yes,
Post build.
post build, yes. Sequence, like if you want to have a sequence of builds, then you can add that. Dependency, yes, called dependency. Okay. This is the classic editor, and you can change the build format number and all, like how it needs to be displayed. You can go into the options and change it. And status badge is also there, whether the build is successful, and you can select this, copy this link and paste in your dashboard, and it will come like the build failed or build success can be done. And retention period is okay. This is organizational retention, like for how long the builds needs to be retained in the organization. So it is in the project settings side. Um, So normally it's like 30 days, and if you want to have more, you can add it as well. Okay, retention time. It's like a data retention, because all our artifacts are stored in the cloud, right? I mean, Microsoft Azure cloud. So there is a retention period associated with that. So how many builds you need to keep, how many artifacts, and how long, all these things can be defined here. So that's about the retention, and history is the change that you being done to the pipeline. Okay, so just show the logs, and if you want to see if you have multiple changes, you can compare the changes as well. Okay, and this is this is through the classic editor. Okay, and there is one more way of designing workflow that is completely through YAML pipelines. I mean YAML syntax one. So this is a classic one. The YAML one, I'll show you with the right demo, because it's just for showing purposes. This one. All right. I'll just don't save this pipeline. Okay, anyway, save initially. Then okay, what else? Okay, let's go into the slide. Okay, so talking about Azure pipelines, as I said, there are two types of workflow designs. And you can do one through classic editor, which I have shown you. YAML one, I will show you when the demo is happening. And agents, it can be classified into two. One is Microsoft hosted agent that is provided, that is pulled from Microsoft like free VMs and all. Okay, and another is self-hosted. You can host the agents, Microsoft agents on your machines and all. Just like you take the Jenkins, you have the slaves, right? So similar to that, this is like a service get installed on any of the platforms like Mac OS or Windows or Linux, any of those.
Just question on Microsoft hosted agents. Right? So these are agents we select during the pipeline, right? And
Yes.
Microsoft will provision it dynamically.
Yes.
Right? And
correct.
it will destroy also, is it?
Yes, it is like that. So every time when you request for an agent, it takes the agent from my pool of machines and help you to execute your pipeline. And after the pipeline is complete, it will be destroyed. Like there won't be any data retention there. So for the next time, you have to do the same thing again and again. So the caching mechanism and all those things won't be there. So if you are using Microsoft hosted agents, but for self-hosted agents, the data retention is there because you are dedicating a particular resource for the agent, right? So every time when the pipeline runs, it runs much faster than the Microsoft hosted ones. Okay.
Yeah,
and
okay, thanks.
Yeah, and other thing is that on enterprise, most of the resources or machines on premise are like firewall, right? So these Microsoft hosted agent cannot communicate to our on-premise machines. So it will like get firewalled, right? It will be black hole anyway, because our firewall is not accepting or whitelisted Microsoft IPs.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That integration cannot happen, right?
Yes, exactly.
Of,
yeah.
Security.
That is why we always go for the self-hosted one, so we can design for our own needs, right? So yeah, so that's about these two agent types.
Thank you.
And yeah, and for Azure Repo side, you have two version control engines. One is Git, which is the industry standard and being used by most of the organization. And for some organizations, they're still using Team Foundation version control. It is a proprietary version control by Microsoft. Like in my current organization, they are using this TFVC still now. There are a few legacy applications. We are planning to migrate everything to Git. Okay, and yeah, okay, demo. I'll just take you through the. Okay, so the workflow is like it all starts when the developer checking their source code into the Azure repos, and the CI is enabled. The continuous integration trigger is enabled. So during that phase, we have a set of subtasks, like you have to build, you have to lint or do a static code analysis, you have to test your application, and you have to scan for any vulnerabilities. If you're using a third-party libraries, you have to scan it as well. So this set of tasks would be executed, and finally it will publish the artifact. Okay, so in our case, in Azure DevOps case, we are pushing the artifact into Microsoft Azure Cloud itself. Okay, so all these operations are being done with the help of the agents, the build and release agents. So it's the same agents that we are using for build and release, just that just to categorize it, you say release agents or build agents. So once the complete CI is done, it generates an artifact, and the artifacts would be available in the artifact repository. Okay, and we would basically trigger it. If you want to auto trigger, like with companies like Netflix, they do the auto continuous delivery. So for our case, we'll do a manual trigger, and you can attach approvals and things to this thing CD flow as well. Okay, and yeah, so once the deploy process starts, it takes the artifacts from the artifact repository and gets deployed to the infrastructure that you have provided. For okay, so for this case, I have a serverless app. Okay, and the app is being being deployed to it's like a Lambda function, and it's being deployed to the AWS infrastructure, and yeah, it is actually published an API as well, and you can and it is all through CloudFormation template. All the infrastructure is provisioned. I mean, when the CD process kicks in, it will create the infrastructure, then copies the artifact to the resources, and yeah, then it publish the APIs and all. So this is the workflow which I'm going to show. Okay, let's move into the project. All right, I have another project basically. Let's add serverless. Okay, now we show the pipeline. This pipeline is in YAML format, so I'll just show you that one as well. All right, okay, so the entire CI/CD is orchestrated using the YAML one, and there are a few nouns, verbs, and all here. So the trigger is for which branches and which path you need to include to trigger this pipeline. So we are specifying it through this syntax. Like I'm including a master, and I'm including other inside master branch all of the files, but exclude these two, readme.md or images./star. So you can have this kind of criteria added for your trigger. All right. So but if you take the classic editor, it is like mostly a UI one, right? So here you can define it through the code, and the pool is the agent. Okay, so I'm using a Microsoft hosted agent. So this is for Ubuntu. Okay, if you are using macOS, you can give that, and you can get the details from the Microsoft documentation itself. They clearly specify which all OS and what is the name for that image and all. So I'm just using Ubuntu for building the application. And variables is a variable group. Okay, so all right, 1 second. Here it's referring this particular credentials variable group. So I'm just specifying that here on as well. Okay, and for stage, okay, stages are, so basically for this pipeline I have two stages. One for building the application, that is for CI, and another one for deploying the application. You can have multiple stages in a pipeline. That's also depends on your requirement, like sub stages and all. It's all about your creativity. So I just for I just created 2 stages for ease of use. Okay, and you can have a display name as well. And the inside stage, you can have jobs, multiple jobs. So I created one for building, building the application. So this application is in using Node.js, and you can see the job workspace is clean state. Okay, start. Okay, here inside the job you can have the task. So one of the tasks is to install Node.js version 12.x. So this particular task will install the Node.js for building the application. And the next is script. Script is like, bash script, So you can add the command after installing the Node.js SDK. Then you can install the module specific to that project. Then I'm running a linting operations, which is nothing but whether you follow a standard coding practice and all. So to list out as well, and npm test for testing the applications. So all together, this is one particular task. Okay, and it executes within the source directory, and the display name you can give whatever name you want here. And talking about the external task, there is a task for finding vulnerabilities in your third-party libraries used in the application. So this is a product called White Source. So if you search in the Google White Source, so they provide this kind of helpers to find any vulnerabilities in your code and all. So it's just if you take static code analysis, there are multiple products like Black Duck, SonarQube, and White Source. And White Source is one of those category. And these are licensed. I mean, they provide a free license, but it is limited to 5 runs per day. So I'm just using that. Okay, so it does that scanning, and it publishes the reports. I'll show you the report as well once it runs. I mean, the pipeline runs and completes. And this is for packaging. Scripting is for packaging. So I'm creating a Lambda zip file for uploading to the AWS. Right. So I'm creating, just write all this bash scripts, because there is no custom task for archiving and removing the files, and also I have to write by hand what all scripts are required to package it, right? And the last task is to publish the builder binaries to artifact repository. And I just give the artifact as Lambda artifact. I'll show you as well this one where we can fetch the artifact as well. And okay, that completes the CI part stage. And next is the deployment stage. So I'm just downloading the artifacts and installing the AWS CLI, because I have to push it to AWS, right? So I have to configure all the keys, secret key, default region, and create a bucket. If the bucket does not exist, it will create it. If bucket exists, then it will show this message. Then I'm copying the artifact to the S3 bucket. Then here. Then after that, once the Lambda zip file has been moved to S3 bucket, I'm running a cloud formation deploy command to deploy into that particular stack. That is AWS Lambda and API gateway. Okay. That's about this. So we have few parameters here. So this is for when you're deploying, it requires these parameters like for change set and redundancy and all. Okay, okay, let me run it for you. So you can run the pipeline once you create the pipeline. You can run the pipe or execute the pipeline from here. Run pipeline, and as I said earlier, you would get an option to select the branches as well. Okay, when you're running it. Okay. So I'm just running the pipeline now. All right, so I have two stages, right? So you will see two boxes with a line together, connected together. So when you click this one, okay, um, it just getting the agent from the cloud. So say acquiring an agent from the cloud. Okay, so the initial task is to download whatever components that is required to run the subtask within the pipeline. So all the tasks are being downloaded to that agent, I mean agent machine. So the Node.js is installed, all right? Okay, then it executes the scripts for the commands I mentioned, like the npm install, npm lint, npm test. So there is no test basically, it's just a dummy file. Okay, white source. Okay, this particular task is actually scanning your third-party libraries used in the application, and it reports the status of that. So when the bill completes, you can see the report as well. So, and depending upon the report status, you can decide whether you want to make the changes in the libraries, or you can deploy it. If it's everything is okay, you can deploy to the control environments. Okay, and yeah, this is like packaging artifact. So this it runs the same script, removing and creating the ideal package, and publish artifacts. So we see a file has been uploaded. Okay, now I'll show you the artifact where the artifact has been saved. Okay, so okay, let me show you. You see here, there's a published here option here coming, and yeah, so you can see, you can browse through that, through the artifact, what all things has been packaged and what all files are there. So it's like a artifact explorer. Okay, and okay, this particular file would be deployed to the uh, to the AWS infrastructure. Okay, and the white source one, yeah, there is another tab popped up here, white source board build report. Okay, so when I click this one, you would see what all libraries are being used, and whether is there any outdated libraries, because these are like npm modules. You would see only the JS ones or TS ones, TypeScript. Okay, so all are good, all looks good. It's a according to the license part also, it shows the status, all are green. And if you take a big application, I would legacy application, you would see lot of outdated ones, and you have to pop the people who actually supporting to upgrade the frameworks or the libraries in the used in the application. Yeah, so it's just part of DevOps engineer responsibility. Okay, and let's see. Yeah, it's being so it's done. It's done. Okay. All right. Yeah. So this one particularly downloads the artifacts which we built earlier, then move to a location in the inside, I mean within the agent machine. Then this particular task will install the AWS CLI, then go through configure all these credentials that you do through for AWS CLI. Okay, once it is done, then the cloud formation command is invoked with the parameters. So I have put few variables, right? So it gets replaced with those variables here, right? And yeah, since this one is already deployed, I mean there is no change at all, so it won't say, it will say the stack is already there, nothing to deploy. And where was it? Let me go into the, yeah. So yeah, this is just a weather application. So when you mention the country and the country code, it gets you the temperature of the you know, the current temperature, you know. So if I put India, then I put KL, I think I should be getting something here. Okay, something not right. Maybe I put
country should be India, right? IN.
Yeah, country should be IN and city should be Kerala. Let me see. Okay, thanks for correcting. Okay, so this one is publicly exposed, so you can use it as well. Yeah, and that's about the deployment. Anything I have to say? I just put few reference here as well so they can get started, and the repository which I'm using for serverless app, and the DevOps link. Okay. Yeah. So one thing I was saying, how to install an agent, right? Okay. So when you in the landing page, you see an option called organization settings. So this is a place where you can make the organizations change, like whether you want to integrate with your company's Active Directory, or because the current one is not integrated, right? And there are a few options, like you can set the policies, like whether you want to allow third-party access, tokens, all those things you can mention here. And one thing I want to show you guys now is this agent pools. So as I was mentioning, you can have self-hosted ones, right? So I'll show you how we can add a agent. Yeah, let me. So there's a VM pool, so you can just create. You can select that option and have self-hosted, or you can use my Azure virtual machine scale set. So for this to work, you need to have a subscription with Azure and create a virtual machine in Azure. Then you can plug it in. So this one is for like for your local machines. The local machine can act as an agent for building. So I'll just select this self-hosted. Then I create test demo. I'm just creating a pool first before enrolling any agents. So once you create the pools, you click here. Then you would see nothing. It's a blank page. Okay, and you can select the new agent here. And once you click the new agent, you would see a few options, whether depending upon your platform architecture, x64, x86, Windows, Mac OS, or Linux. You can use any of these platform and run this command on your machine. All right. So Linux, they have many options, like you can have 64-bit machines or ARM architecture. There is ARM 32, ARM 64, and Red Hat, your favorite. So yeah, these are supported, and I think I will just show you ARM 64 now. Okay, let me. Okay, so this is an ARM 64 machine. Yes, Arch 64. So I'm using a NVIDIA Jetson Nano. So I'll just create a folder, say AZ agent. Then I'll just download the tar file. Then I'll just extract. Okay. I don't need to do the heavy lifting. They have these commands to do it, so you can copy that as well. ZXVF or VSTS. All right, so you see a few commands here. One is like some shell scripts are there. Okay, so first we have to run the config.sh. The same thing they have mentioned here as well. So before we run this config.sh, we have to create a PAT token. Okay, PAT token is nothing but personal access token, which allows you to have programmatic access to your resources. So from where we can is from this profile, you have an option called personal access tokens. So you can create tokens from here. So it tells you about the authorization, what all access it requires. Oh, minimum is that. Okay. Main thing is that you have to copy this token. So once generated, you have to, it will just vanish. So you have to regenerate again to get the latest one. So what you have to do is you have to just run this config.sh. All right. Okay. Okay. I think some libraries. Okay. Okay. It is asked for the server URL. So server URL is nothing but your organization name. You just copy this. All right. Just paste it here. Enter authentication. So press enter for PAT. So I'm just using that PAT. Personal access token. So you have to copy the whatever token you have copied earlier. You have to enter that. I hope it works. All right. So connected to server. It is asking for the agent pool. Agent pool is, remember the name of the agent pool now. Just go here. So earlier we created the agent pool, right? So test demo. So you just need to give the test demo there as well. Okay, it's connected. Okay, so it's asking for what folder. So it's for the workspace. So normally it comes by default. It comes with underscore log. All right. I just okay for enter perform. No, I don't want. All right, settings saved. All right. Now you can install this agent as a service, or you can have like ad hoc kind of thing. So if you're running ad hoc, you can run the run.sh. Okay, it is going to the server. It's connecting to the server. right now. It's listening for jobs now. So when you refresh this page, there would be one agent coming in green color. Okay, and if I stop this one, it gets offline. And if you want to dispose it, you can either disable it or you just delete, because these are like ad hoc ones, right? So sometimes if you're running the agents in a Docker container, then every time it will have dynamic name if you are not giving the static name. So you can delete it, or you can install it as a Linux service.sh. Must be run as sudo. All right. Yeah. So I don't want to install this in this machine right now. Okay. So that's how you add. Oh, before that, I just want to show run.sh. You can these agents gets the properties of all the machine which you are. Hey, what happened? You are not authorized to. Okay. Something because I just deleted from some cache is being stored somewhere. So let me do a SVC one, whether it works, I don't know. Okay, start. Okay, I don't know whether it works because the caching issues was there. Okay, we have to authenticate again since I have deleted. Only way is to run the config, because it creates a file inside the machine to map all these keys and all. Yeah, because see, because I haven't removed it correctly, it is basically asking to remove it manually. Okay, okay. This is for CMG. Yeah, any question, guys? Yeah. Hello?
Yeah, we are here.
Yeah, I just thought.
This is awesome. No, this is awesome. Like, having, instead of using Microsoft agents, we can set up agent and integrate with a portal, right? So,
correct.
it's awesome.
Yeah, because the current issue, what you're seeing, right? That because I didn't remove correctly, so that's why it's having the cache issue. So when maybe restarted, it will clear off.
I think
Right.
that is fine. We saw already, right? Agent is coming online, and the moment
Yep.
you cancelled, it was
Right.
there.
Correct. And yeah, I mean there is nothing much to show.
Is there a way, like, sorry?
Yeah.
Is there a way, like, running agents in Docker container, or like, can we do something like instead of using Microsoft agent, we can on demand when we request, we can do a Docker running inside a Docker, provisioning the Docker container.
Okay. But the problem here is when the pipeline initiates, right? It requires an agent created earlier itself. Okay, it cannot instantiate without an agent. So initially, you need to have an agent, and the agent can be run on
inside the agent you are configuring for your pipeline.
Yep.
Correct. It cannot be reverse. Correct. Okay.
Yep. So it can run on Kubernetes as well, but you need to configure a few things here and there. And I think, wait,
Yeah, but for that again, right, you have to pre-configure
yes,
things,
yes,
right?
yes. So there are few things. Yeah, there are few agents. Because I already Dockerize these things, so there are Docker files in my repository. Yeah, you can refer this one. I'll give you the links if you really interested to Dockerize the agent and put it in Kubernetes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Please share.
Yeah. Any other question, guys? I mean, it's like more than an hour now. I don't want to...
It was a good session. Thanks for that. Yeah, we know what is the real thing inside. I have a question. Okay, I heard about the Azure DevOps Server. What is that actually?
Okay, that is like an on-premise version of Azure DevOps.
Oh.
So that one we are using is Azure DevOps Services, which is a SaaS one. Okay. And there are people who wants to have Azure DevOps on their on-premise. They don't want to use the cloud version, and it's very very tedious as well because the maintenance and everything, right? It won't come automatically. You have to apply the patch and all. Yeah, there are few people using that Azure DevOps server, but everyone is moving to the cloud. And yeah, I would recommend this one because maintenance free. You don't want to worry about. Yeah. Yes.
And for the free version, right? The one you are you using the free trial version? Is that enough to start practicing?
Yes, this one is free. Basically, the one I'm using. It is tagged to my name. Okay. So if you see here, this is tagged to my ID. But if you go to enterprise and all, they will have a separate organization. And the main thing, how they are billing is everyone, the people who wants to access Azure DevOps in enterprise, they need to have a license. It's called Visual Studio subscription. Okay, it's it comes around like $1,000 per year. So every developer or whoever wants to access in the enterprise, they need to have this license associated with their ID. But for us, like free ones, it doesn't require any of these. You can try and break the systems on your ID.
Okay. Understood. Okay, so we can simply sign up and start using that, right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Good. I have one more question. Okay, now you already shared the multiple components inside the Azure DevOps. I mean the offering, right? The pipelines, project dashboards. So let's say instead of repo, okay, you told you can use the external repository like GitHub or GitLab, right? It's not mandatory that you need to use Azure repo.
Right. So when you create a pipeline, it actually shows you which external or internal Git you want to use. Okay. You can install your own Git repository within your on-premise, and you can tag it. So all options are there. You can use external as well. Okay, but only thing is that sometimes there will be like bit of a latency if you're connecting external. Yeah, so that would be there. So bear in mind if you're connecting if from a different location. So from a practical standpoint, I mean, I was using some repository in Vietnam, and that was on-premise hosted, and it was taking some time. Like it was an external repository. So just bear in mind that thing. You can use any kind of Git repository here. Just have to map it.
Okay. Yeah. So this is same for other components also, right? Let's say project dashboard, right? The project board or something. I can use Jira kind things and integrate with Azure DevOps, right?
Okay. Jira, fine. If you want to integrate Azure Boards to Jira, you have to use a plugin in Jira to actually
Okay.
fetch the data and all, because this Azure Boards is a proprietary system, and those data or fields would be recognizable in Jira. Okay, so there's a requirement for connector, like an extension, to have the mapping. But it is possible. You have to pay from your pocket for that extension. That's the only thing.
So, do you mean that plugin is already available for Jira integration?
Yeah, plugin is available, and it costs around like $2,000. I think per year.
Okay.
Yeah, depending upon the number of users. There are multiple plugins available, and a different plugin has its own features, like whether you want to integrate work items or whether you want to have the commit history and all. So
Or you can build your own if you have.
yeah, if you're
You can. Yeah. No,
but,
I'm to be honest, right? You can build your own, right? If Azure DevOps portal can expose, right, webhooks
yep.
and
Yep.
The OAuth tokens, probably you can build your own and make API calls and.
Yep. And yeah, one thing. Okay, since you are mentioning about extension, there is a marketplace for Azure DevOps, and you can add here the extension that you require. So in our pipeline, there is a not SonarQube, white source. There is an, so I added this particular plugin to our project, or to the organization. So you can add it depending upon your needs. Like there are multiple plugins here. Some of them are like paid ones. Some of them are free, and some limited use. Okay. So and you can create your own plugin as well, but I think it is done through Node.js. I believe they're developing all these plugins through Node.js. Yeah, like yeah. Right. Any more question? Are you good to wind up?
I think I'm good. Yeah. Again, thanks. And I'll wait for others to.
Yep.
Just one question. If you go to portal back.
Okay. All right. Never mind. I'll just go here. Yeah.
In portal, right, these like Azure Board and Azure Pipeline.
Yeah.
Right. So these are all for same for all the projects, right? It will be across all projects, right? It's not a project specific view.
Yeah. This whatever things you add here on the left hand side, it is specific to this project. Okay.
Project. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
This project. So it's like umbrella. The top level is.
So you start with a project, and then under that project you will have a boards, you will have reports, integration, then pipeline and test plan. And
correct.
It's not like this is a central place for all the projects. Like if I go to pipelines, I will see only this project specific pipeline, right?
Correct. So the it has this segregation, like if you taking on an enterprise. Not everyone should see all the projects. Sometimes like very limited, right? So you can actually manage those permissions here in the permission section, and depending upon the authorization, yeah, I can add that. So that flexibility is, I mean, it's very straightforward. Just need to, like, it's all based upon the project. If the project requires this, the person requires an access to this project, then you can add that person to this project group. Then he will be only able to see this project. So kind of limited functionality on that.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay. Any more guys?
Good. Raman, George, Shinu, anyone? Any questions or anything?
No, not from me. I was just listening, so it was useful. Got to know the technology, the names, and just navigate through. Yeah, we have to literally do it again so that we can ask some questions actually.
Yeah, because just getting familiar with the things, then you'll get to know.
Yep.
Yeah.
We can remember some things, right? So it's quite useful. Yeah. So.
Okay. So I think we can wind up then.